Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast. And we're actually on time for once. We're actually starting relatively, I guess, early today. We usually start at around 7:10 or so, but I was finally able to get it to around a minute late, which is pretty, yeah, it's pretty good considering, that we usually on time now. So, but yeah, so tonight we are going to be talking about No Way Out 2003. And tonight my guest is
Hello, everybody. This is Adam Rice coming to you live from just outside Columbus, Ohio. How's everyone out there in the stream doing? Matt, how are you this fine Friday?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, man? How's everything in Brown's country?
Well, since it's the off season, nothing bad's happened yet. So
Yet. That's the key word. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. the current concern is LeBron James. So the summer of LeBron has commenced. May God have mercy on us all.
So yeah, No Way Out 2003. Did you watch this pay-per-view live, or was this the first time that you saw it? And if so, what was your feelings going into this pay-per-view?
This is I call it, this is a pay-per-view. I didn't even see it live. I actually had to sit down and watch it for the podcast. This is right there at I guess you can say the heyday of the Reign of Terror, or what's commonly known as one of Triple H's many world title runs. This is early Evolution. So this is the time period we're working with. We're also, in No Way Out this year was the in-between pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania. It was the last one before we actually got to Mania itself. So it's a show where typically what we have come to expect, where nothing happens. Typically, what we are now accustomed to in this new modern era is that the road to WrestleMania has been planned out for 6 months, and we can all see it coming, and we pretty much know on the show before WrestleMania nothing's going to happen. This is a different era to where they where I'm sure they still had a plan, but at the very least they didn't reveal the plan until this show and then the subsequent televisions. So this was a different kind of speed bump on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think so. I went into this kind of lukewarm because it is No Way Out. It's usually where not much happens, so I don't know how this pay-per-view is going to stack up.
I've always considered No Way Out a C pay-per-view at best. If they were to cut No Way Out from the schedule, I don't think anybody would miss it.
Yeah. So I guess we can go ahead and start this, but before we do, last time Adam was on, he covered Tough Enough 3 with me, and unfortunately, we got some bad news regarding one of the stars of that, more specifically one of the co-winners of that season, Matt Capitelli, who had been battling cancer, specifically brain cancer, for really over a decade, really, I think.
Yeah, he's been fighting brain cancer for many years, almost since the day he co-won Tough Enough. It wasn't very long after he was diagnosed. But unfortunately, today was the day I don't ever want to say he lost his battle with cancer, because I don't think you fight cancer for a decade, you didn't lose anything.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's sad because we never got to see what he could be. If I'm speaking strictly as a professional wrestling fan, we never got to see where his talent was. Obviously, as a human being, it's sad to lose anybody to cancer, whether you know him or not. But strictly, like I said, speaking strictly as a fan, he could have offered. We will just never know. We'll just never know what he could have been. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about the guy. He's universally beloved by those who knew him, from what I've seen online. It's just a shame that that this was the outcome. But like I said, he fought for a decade, and there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, indeed. And I actually think that I believe like the week after Raw 10th anniversary or something like that, like a couple weeks after, he and John Hennigan actually did have like an exhibition match on Raw, like the week after they won Tough Enough 3, and they ended up getting interrupted by Christopher Nowinski and Tommy Dreamer. So it was cool to see Matt Capitelli wrestle on Raw, even if it was just a very brief time. But yeah, it absolutely sucks to see anybody suffer from cancer, which F cancer and all that stuff. And so, like, rest in peace, Matt Capitelli, because you will never be forgotten.
Rest in power, my friend. You fought bravely for many, many years, and hopefully you are out of pain wherever you are now.
So yeah, rest in peace, Matt Capitelli.
Shall we get to the card?
Yeah, I think so. We go ahead and do it. And this is your first pay-per-view that you watched on the podcast. Because last time it was Tough Enough, a reality show. Now you're watching a full-on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I get to watch and talk about some actual wrestling.
And first, I want to talk about the theme song and the set design for the pay-per-view. The theme song, I think this might be one of the few times where WWE have had their finger on the pulse of the music industry, because the theme song for tonight is Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. What do you think of this theme song?
If we may take this musical detour real quick, Bring Me to Life is an amazing song. Absolutely. Evanescence, I don't know if Evanescence truly gets the credit for being as good as they are. That genre of music isn't my favorite, but Evanescence is a clear head and shoulders kind of band when it comes to that genre. They just stand out, and it's all because of Amy Lee's her name, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just that powerful voice. And you're right, this is one of the times when the WWE kind of went. I don't know if they did it. Was this on the radio at the time of the pay-per-view, or did one beat the other?
Well, at the time of the pay-per-view, Daredevil was already out, and that song was featured heavily in the movie. But I think even before Daredevil even come out, they were using this theme song. So I don't know if they had like some deal with the record company or what. I don't know, but it wasn't released as a single until March or April, I think. So I don't know what it was, but I guess they just got like early dibs on the song. The album wasn't out yet.
Yeah, it's just okay. I would say I just doing a little bit of cursory looking. April 22nd of 2003 was when the song was released. No Way Out didn't air. No Way Out aired on February 23rd. So almost a full 2 months before the song hit the airwaves, here it is as the song for this pay-per-view. That's WWE getting lucky. I don't care.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think they could have known that song would be as big as it was. But so kudos to them. They were actually paying attention.
Yeah, I love this song. You know, it's a great song. And I think it works very well for No Way Out. And so I think this is one of the few times where WWE did have their finger on the pulse in terms of theme songs. But they're going to end that streak at WrestleMania next month.
I remember those in early to mid 2000s. They did tend to hit more than they missed. I don't know what happened. They have lost their way here recently. I don't.
I mean, at least NXT gets it right for the most part.
Yeah, NXT does a better job of knowing how they want that musical aesthetic to feel to their pay-per-view. Very rarely did I ever pay attention to the pay-per-view songs. I don't know if they ever did anything to you. Did they ever really add anything for you to the show?
I think at times they definitely can. Like My Way for WrestleMania 17, it adds so much to it. So I think sometimes it can, but I don't know. Like I've always enjoyed, seeing the theme songs and seeing, what it was back then.
The only WWE theme song that I remember ever sticking with me. And my God, not only am I showing my age, I'm almost kind of embarrassed. What show used Creed? Take Me Higher.
I don't know if it was a particular show.
But do you remember those promo packages?
Yeah, I do remember that they were using a My Sacrifice for some of the promos that they would do.
And that's the only time I remember a song sticking with me from that area. Was those they were using Creed. I still remember seeing the video of Jeff doing the Swanton off the ladder with Creed playing in this package. I don't know why it stuck with me, but it did. But that's the only time I ever remember placing song in a promo package or a pay-per-view together and thinking, okay, this works and it leaves a mark.
Oh yeah, totally. And it is kind of lost nowadays, the theme songs.
Well, it's probably because they're not really pay-per-views anymore.
Well, they still use pay-per-view theme songs, I think. Could be wrong, but I think they do.
They might. It's just that, once again, I don't notice. Or at least, like for once, like, how many times do we have to use Flow Rider?
I don't know.
Not trying to talk bad about Flow Rider. He could most likely whip my ass, but to me, if the music can truly add something, that's fine. But if it's just there for a plug, I'm hit or miss. You know what I mean?
No, but Adam, don't you see? All the kids are listening to Papa Roach nowadays.
Shoot me. Yeah. What year is it again?
2018.
Okay, that answers all of the questions.
I mean, I remember when they were using Papa Roach for the Raw theme song in 2006. And even then, it felt like weird, but at least still kind of fit. Now in 2018, like, really? We're really using Papa Roach.
I remember when they were using Marilyn Manson for SmackDown. Yes.
Yeah, even at this time, they were still using them.
And it was like, and I'm kind of like, at least that's kind of kick-ass.
Oh, yeah.
At least that's kind of culturally relevant to some people at that time. Could you imagine using Marilyn Manson today?
I can't see it happening, mainly because Marilyn Manson's kind of, I don't want to say irrelevant, but he's not as big a deal as he was.
You can say irrelevant, and it's not going to hurt my feelings.
Well, I still like his music, but yeah, he's not.
It's not that whether or not people just don't like the music or not. I think it's that his cultural impact meant more then than it does now.
Yeah.
So I think he would be just as misplaced to being used today as using Papa Roach.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess there's some wrestling happened at this card, Matt.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess we can talk about the set design. What do you think about the set design?
Pretty basic, if you ask me. That was one that was kind of, to me, they look like this was their, okay, we're getting ready to build a big set for Mania, so let's just tone down this one.
Yeah. But I also think it looks a hell of a lot better than Royal Rumble last month.
Well, now, yeah, I wish they'd bring back the specialized sets, but they're not going to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think here it gets the job done fine with all the chains and stuff. No way out. I think it's basic, but it does fit. Like it's at least more creative than just two giant Titantrons and reusing the SmackDown Minitron.
Hey, didn't we see this setup last week? Well, yes, we did. It's all, like I said, it worked for what it was, for the aesthetic of the pay-per-view. But then again, like I said, No Way Out's about a C-level pay-per-view anyway. So you can tell they put that kind of thought into the set design. Let's just throw out some chains. Let's get it metallic looking. And then here we go.
Yeah. It works, I think. So No Way Out 2030 took place at the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And some trivia here, this was actually the first WWE pay-per-view to take place in Montreal since Survivor Series 1997.
It takes some balls to run a show in Montreal only 6 years after the Screwjob.
Yeah. And I'm sure that we will not be reminded of the Montreal Screwjob in any way, shape, or form here tonight.
Oh my god! Is that a shot at commentary there?
I don't know about commentary, but there is an angle much later on in the show, specifically at the end of the show, that I'm talking about.
Montreal. This was a hot crowd. They were up for everything. It was a weird crowd, but I don't remember them. I don't think there was a really dull moment. Maybe a couple, but they seemed to be up for most of the show. Couple times I was surprised by them, but we'll get into that as we talk about the matches. But this show was hot. Crowd was amped. Probably most likely all of them were drunk, but it's Canada.
I mean, there was ads for Molson beer in the arena.
Yes, there was. But no, I have no complaints about the crowd.
Yeah, crowd was great. And so we can go ahead and move on into the first match of the night, Chris Jericho versus Jeff Hardy. And this is interesting because this was originally supposed to be Chris Jericho and Test, because Test eliminates Jericho from the Royal Rumble, and then Jericho accidentally, using that in quotes because they are sort of leaving it ambiguous, Jericho ends up hitting Stacy Keibler with a chair during a match with Test. And so they were originally going to have a match together here, but I've tried to figure this out. I've heard a rumor that the reason that Test was removed from this match was because he and Stacy were not able to get to the go home show on Raw because the weather was really bad. because the Go Home show, actually took place in your neck of the woods, Columbus, Ohio.
I remember, we'll go on later on in the show, but during a certain match, we see Test and Stacy.
Yeah.
Sitting in the back. So, this is a weird. I don't know why they threw Jeff in here. Probably because if you're going to throw anybody in there, throw Jeff. This is also during this weird. I do have no recollection of this angle at all, but the Jeff Hardy is Shawn Michaels' protege.
Yeah, that's interesting too. And just one thing about Tess and Stacey, like apparently they had to miss their flight because the weather was so bad, and so apparently that's why he got replaced. But do you know what they were doing with Jeff during this time?
I know this was during the short. I have no recollection of what Jeff was doing.
Well, around this time, they tried to turn him heel.
That's right. I remember that. They tried to turn him heel, and it didn't take whatsoever.
Yeah, it never worked. I don't know. It's like this combination of like the fans didn't really want to boo Jeff, but at the same time, they never really went all the way with it.
It's hard to boo a guy who's willing to put himself through hell for a match.
Yeah.
Every one of Jeff's matches, he looked like a human crash test dummy. So it's hard to boo a guy who's doing that. I don't know why they paired him with Shawn.
Well, they did an angle a couple weeks before this where Jeff Hardy tried to attack RVD and Kane during their match, and Kane ends up choke slamming him. So Shawn Michaels goes into the ring, tries to give Jeff Hardy some advice, and Jeff is like, you know what? I want to kick some butt around here. I'm going to start with you. Walks right into his sweet chin music.
Oh God, I'm just describing this heel turn makes me want to vomit.
Yeah, like it's so weird, and like I believe like the next week, Jeff comes to the rescue of somebody. I believe Tess and Stacy, and so he and Jeff Hardy and Chris Jericho actually do have a match on Raw, where you could have had an entire drinking game based on how many times Jerry Lawler used the word conflicted during that match to describe Jeff Hardy.
Okay, you brought up Lawler, and this is why I'm going to take the opportunity to ask. I understand why he was out there, but they couldn't find anybody better than Coachman.
Oh yeah, that's right. We need to talk about that for a very brief moment. There is a change on commentary tonight because SmackDown stays the same, Michael Cole and Taz, but on the Raw side, Jonathan Coachman and Jerry Lawler are doing commentary. Do you remember why Coach is out there?
Because they ran the Bischoff JR angle.
Yeah.
They ran the match between Bischoff and JR a few weeks prior where Bischoff breaks a cinder block, quote unquote, on JR's face. And that puts JR on the sideline. Which leads us into one of our matches later on. I don't know, should we spoil it?
We can go ahead and wait just a little bit, but yeah. So JR is out, even though he does do commentary for that match.
He comes out and does commentary for that match. So there is no chemistry at all between Coachman and Lawler.
No, there isn't. And like, Coach is pretty bad on commentary now, calling a freaking bear hug a chance for Ronda Rousey to catch her breath.
Sweet mother of God.
But I do want to ask you a question now that we are on Coach. What Coach do you think is worse? Face Coach here or slightly heelish Coach now?
Neither. Full, let me explain. Full-on heel coach from the early 2010s. Do you remember when he had the full-on heel run?
Yeah, I do. And even then, I didn't think he was great on commentary, but he was at least better. He was at least more animated. And I think he works better as a color commentator, as a play-by-play guy. I don't think he works at all.
I think Coach, and I'm not trying to besmirch the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Coach works better as a backstage commentator. The guy with the mic, Renee's job, basically. He was never. He doesn't have the ability of a guy like J.R. Morrow to call a match. And I know that's not what they're asked to do, and I understand that. But as a color guy, there's no way to relate. He doesn't have the experience necessary to be a color guy either. I struggled with. He's a former athlete. You know, he played basketball in college. So it's not like he doesn't know what it takes to be an athlete. And he did wrestle a little bit, but at the end of the day, I don't know where he fits out there on commentary. He probably should be backstage because those bits with him and The Rock from the Attitude Era are hilarious. But I don't know where he fits. I don't know where he fits.
Well, I think he works best as a on-screen character. I think it's the best way to kind of put it. Like when he's like the second-hand man to Eric Bischoff or to even Vince when he was a heel in 2006. I think as a heel character who is a sycophant to whatever authority figure is there, I think that's who he works best as.
He's a good lackey.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that. I think if they're trying to put him in a position where he's going to fail, and that's it at the commentary.
Yeah. And so on to Jericho and Jeff Hardy. This really is just a nothing match. Like I don't think there's really any psychology. There's really no flow to it. Like Jeff Hardy will do some high risk moves. Jericho will do some moves. That's really about it. And this ends up being Jeff's last pay-per-view match for a while because he ends up getting released a couple months after this. Comes back in 2006, but this was probably at the height maybe of his mid 2000s drug problems. So did you notice anything off about Jeff? Did you notice anything that was kind of off about his performance?
No, I think this was your typical early 2000s, just split up from the Hardys, Jeff Hardy match. He clearly did not know early on how to work as a singles.
Yeah. I also felt he was moving kind of slowly. He wasn't as crisp. He wasn't as quick as he usually would be.
I disagree, only because that whisper in the wind never looked tighter. He hit that whisper in the wind about, 10 minutes in that match? And that was about the best I've ever seen it look, given recently. And he's just about doing that move and just falling on people because he just can't do it anymore. It's a fine opener. It got the crowd hot because Jericho was in it. So the crowd was all just ready to cheer Jericho no matter what. Jericho tried to work heel a little bit, but when Jeff's problem was, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, considering how great he was at it as in the Hardy Boys, he's a lousy babyface seller. Go back and watch that match and see, did he really demonstratively sell anything?
Not a lot from what I remember.
He just kind of takes his beating.
Yeah.
I mean, he was an excellent hot tag when he was working. He could take the beating or be the tag in the Hardys, but as a singles, he's just kind of there, especially early on. He didn't know which way was up, which is kind of disappointing, but I think he figures it out a little bit better. He's better at it now than he was then.
Yeah.
But that comes with time. But Jeff, at this point, was almost a non-entity as a singles competitor, even though they were so willing to strap him at any given opportunity. Oh, no, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Oh, no, I had nothing else really to add.
Oh. So Jericho hits Jeff with a powerbomb off the turnbuckle, ends up tapping Jeff with the walls of Jericho for the win. And after the match, HBK saves Jeff from Jericho and Christian.
Did you hear that crowd when HBK hit the ring?
Yeah, I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 years post Montreal, 6 years post the Screwjob, Shawn Michaels was getting babyface reactions from the Montreal crowd. They were hot for the Heartbreak Kid, which is shocking. I thought the second they saw Shawn, they'd want to rip his throat out.
Yeah.
And you heard some boos.
Yeah.
But he hit that sweet chin music and the crowd came unglued. Which is funny considering who they decided to boo later on in the night.
Yeah. So overall, what'd you think about this opening match?
Fine opener. 2.5 stars if we're gonna rate it. Like I said, it got the crowd going because Jericho won. But it was outside of that, there's nothing really to write home from this.
I would say this: it's better than I remember it being, because I remember this match being really bad. It's not a bad match, but I don't know. I personally, I didn't really care for it that much. I didn't think it was as good as it probably could have been.
Yeah, you think today of Jericho and Hardy and what they should be able to do, and they really didn't do that in this match. Jericho worked heel most of the time, never really left his feet except for the lion salt. And Jeff was just his reckless self, bouncing off the walls, but not really selling or feeding for Jericho. So it was just kind of there. Jericho, walls of Jericho, 1, 2, 3. Okay, on to the next.
So backstage, Kurt Angle insults Canada and tells Team Angle that they have a plan.
I wonder what that plan could be.
I wonder as well.
And so, yeah, Kurt doing Kurt. There's no better shithead heel than Kurt Angle.
Yeah. Yeah, he remarks that he isn't going to lose to a walking gorilla and 2 Canucks.
And then you bring up that line, and then during the match, Taz, oh, God. What's a Canuck? Oh, please shoot me now. I don't want to go back on a commentary tangent because I could. Oh my God. So our next match is the tag match, right?
Yeah, before that, we get a shot of Evolution arriving in the snow, and we also see Stone Cold's truck.
Now, what could Steve Austin be doing here? Well, since he's arrived, I guess we should tell the people. This is Stone Cold's return to the company.
Yeah, and we'll get more into it when we get to the match. But yeah, this was his first night back in WWE after several months away from the company.
And we'll get into that story later, even though I'm sure everyone knows it. But this is the first image of Steve Austin at a WWE event in a good long while.
Yeah.
And then we go into the tag team title match.
Yep. Rob Van Dam and Kane versus William Regal and Lance Storm for the World Tag Team titles. And this is the first pay-per-view match to have this team of Rob Van Dam and Kane and this unlikely ragtag team. What you think about this tag team?
This was my recollection of this team was being fun for what they were at the time. I think they do end up, not tonight, not at this pay-per-view, but they do end up going on to win the World Tag titles later on. But I remember this just being a fun, mixed match team. Kane was always good in these strange bedfellow tag teams. He'll always be remembered for his run with The Undertaker as a tag, which obviously Brothers of Destruction. But I liked his tag with Rob. He tagged with X-Pac during the Attitude Era. And of course, now just recently, the reunification of Team Hell No. Kane has always been a good tag guy. He's good at a lot of other things, but when Kane's working tags, I think that's when Kane is at his best.
Yeah, I do like the team of RVD and Kane. At first, it's like it almost seems like a waste of those two, but I think they really work really well as a tag team.
I think it's just because this, Rob is with the quicker, the agile, not a small guy, but he's just quick. The educated feet, the laid back attitude, the lack of a better term, 420 attitude.
Yeah.
And then there's Kane, who's the best thing about Kane is that he is low key one of the funniest dudes in WWE. His comedic timing is so good. It's why a lot of these opposite tag teams that he was in worked, because they always had an element of humor, and he was always a good straight man, kinda, for those tags. And of course, he's also just an ass kicker, and who doesn't enjoy a good ass kicker?
Yeah, and so this match is pretty solid match. RVD dominates Storm for the first half of the match, ends up getting thrown into the barricade, and Storm and Regal take advantage. And Kane gets the hot tag, but Storm twists Kane's mask around, and Kane accidentally chokeslams RVD, and Storm and Regal get the win.
I remember Storm and Regal as a tag, but they were pretty good.
Yeah.
And did you see the accidental botch in this match?
What was it?
Do you remember when Kane picked up Regal for the body slam or the power slam? And he brought him down, and he went in to go into that awkward cover. And then Lance, Kane picked Regal up, and Lance grabbed Regal by the trunks and pulled him into the corner to make the tag.
I don't remember that.
Go back and watch this match with Kane's first tag in, and he gets Regal up, and he does a power slam or a body slam. You don't realize what happened because Kane goes to pick Regal back up and notices Regal's not moving. He knocked him out.
Man.
He knocked him out on the power slam, and it took him picking him back up and then letting Lance get close to him. The ref actually calls a tag without there being a tag because Regal is out of it.
Honestly, I never noticed that. I'm going to have to go back there and watch.
It's about maybe it's just, I think it's that first tag to Kane, and that was their opening bid with him and Regal, and he does this power slam and he knocks him flat, and it takes Kane has to cover for it by making a cover, and I think Regal kicks out or something else happens, and then they get him situated to where Lance Storm can make a tag and get Regal out of the match. It's wild. You wouldn't notice it if you weren't paying attention. But the only reason why I saw it is because I saw Kane get confused when he went to go pick Regal up and noticed that Regal was not moving. So, but yeah, then there was the finish of the match with the mask and the accidental chokeslam. Aren't we starting down the road at this point in time to Kane losing his mask?
It's a very slow kind of move because it doesn't happen until June. We're still in February, but they also did an angle on Raw a couple weeks before this where Kane and RVD were facing, I believe, Batista and Triple H in the match. And Batista ends up unmasking Kane, and Kane ends up running to the back, and RVD ends up losing the match. So it does seem like it's something that they're slowly planning on doing.
I remember that. We don't need to go into that angle, but I remember that so well to this day.
Yeah, so overall, what'd you think of this match?
Good tag match. Good, just a good tag. Fine finish, a little screwy finish. Heels go over in their home. I mean, Lance Storm being Canadian, getting a win in his home country, and of course the Canadians all love Regal because of the obvious connections. So it's good win for the hometown team, so to speak. But all in all, just a solid tag.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I thought it was a solid tag match, not the best in the world. But I think this was a pretty good tag match. I think I like the Royal Rumble tag team title match a bit better, but I still do like this match.
I think this match got hurt briefly due to the Regal not being on his feet. Because he doesn't work a lot of this match. You go back and watch. Typically, when you see a Regal match, even if it's a tag, he's in there picking dudes apart. And a lot of this Lance Storm carried the majority of this match for his team.
Yeah, pretty solid match. Backstage, Jesus Christ, Josh Matthews interviews Matt Hardy. Why Josh Matthews?
Because the WWE didn't know any better. Josh was fine with the backstage interview at this time. He was a little boring, but he was fine. And this is Matt doing. Well, this is the culmination, because their match was next, of the Matt Hardy run to the Cruiserweight title.
Yeah.
I loved this storyline.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad because it's for the first time with this gimmick that Matt Hardy has a direction, because he's been version 1 for quite a while now, but he hasn't really been having any feuds. He hasn't really had any kind of direction. And that's maybe because there's no mid-card title on SmackDown at the moment. But this is the first time where he finally has some kind of direction. And Matt Hardy in the Cruiserweight division, it's so bizarre. How'd you feel about that?
Like I said, I loved this run. I loved this story. I loved this gimmick. It was the first time Matt Hardy had ever been interesting in his life. But it also was the beginning of us noticing this gimmick will never get the love it deserves for its influence on what we see from Matt Hardy today. This was the first time we saw Matt have personality, have character, have a goal, a focus. And then this was the first time we ever saw Matt be as a creative guy. Because I think a lot of what we saw on screen was from Matt. You know, just the weight loss, the weigh-ins where he would get so close and then he'd be just a pound or two over and he'd pull down his underwear because by God he was going to make weight. And those things, I remember all these things. I loved this story. I don't know why it resonated, but this was a progenitor of what we would see from woken or broken Matt Hardy. This very creative guy, a different way of getting over. But I don't think Matt Hardy version 1 gets a lot of credit for being as in tune to the culture as it was. The whole Mattitude facts, you know, on the Titantron, you know, the loading screen. It just, everything about his character at this time, I think deserves more credit than is given.
Yeah, I think so as well, because I thought this was such a great gimmick, and this is probably the height of the Mattitude gimmick.
Yes. I think this run and his later run with MVP.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Those two runs are the very height of this singles Matt Hardy version 1. You know, I'm all that. How would you describe it? This very full of himself Matt Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would. How many more years has he gone from the company after this? He goes on this run.
Well, he was fired for a very brief time around 2005 or so, but he came back not too long afterwards in 2005, I believe. And he was with the company up until 2010, and he didn't come back until 2017.
So this was just a little while before, probably a good 18 to 24 months before he's gone briefly. So we get this great version 1 run, the Cruiserweight title run. It's fun. It's everything wrestling could be. It's a fun story being told with a guy that got people to care about him, which is a lot more than we can say for Billy Kidman.
Yeah. I mean, I like Billy Kidman, and he was able to show a little bit of personality here. But I don't know, it just never quite worked out.
Billy Kidman was a guy who had one move that anybody cared about, and that was it.
Yeah.
He was so milquetoast, boring, couldn't cut a promo, never drew in time. He was just boring. And don't get me wrong, he was a fantastic athlete. He had him in the cruiserweight division. He had some insane matches, especially back in WCW. But this version of Billy Kidman was just yuck. And then later on, after a little while after this, doesn't he have a heel run?
I think so, but very quickly before we move on, I just want to say that we are going to be having a surprise guest come in very soon, so be sure to be on the lookout for that.
Oh boy, I'm ready. But
yeah, I believe that Billy Kidman did have a heel run a few years after this.
all my years are running together, but I just know that he was just a guy with an awesome shooting star press that he also hurt people with.
Yeah.
And also, one of the other great little things about this match, Shannon Moore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The little MFer. The Magnitude follower. Oh, God, that was so great. But yeah, no, there's not a lot to talk about with this match, really, is there?
Not really, and a guest has just arrived. Hello.
It's the Godfather.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Taker, what's up?
Yes, the Godfather has arrived.
What do you do doing a run-in?
Well, I'm off tonight because I'm doing a run-in because I'm off tonight. And Legends Lover was in for surgery today.
That's right.
On her rotator cuff. And she's going to have to stay overnight because it was more damage than they originally thought.
Oh, no.
I hope everything works out, Taker.
Oh, she was fine. She was not feeling much pain when I left her.
They giving her the good stuff?
Well, let's put it this way. She was telling me when they gave her the Demerol, she said the last thing she remembers is when they gave her the shot of Demerol. Ow, that burns.
Nice. Nice. That's the good stuff.
Yep.
Nothing like a shot of Demerol to take all your pain away.
No kidding. But it does burn. I know that for a fact.
It can burn all at once as long as it puts me out. I'm fine.
In about 30 seconds, they didn't do the basic count back from 100.
100,
100, 99, 98, 90.
98. If you make it to 97, the Demerol isn't strong enough. All right, TM, since you've done the run-in, we are on Matt Hardy versus Billy Kidman for the Cruiserweight Championship. This is, I don't know if you remember, the beginning of Matt's run as a cruiserweight and getting into the cruiserweight division. What do you remember of this, if anything?
He had trouble making weight.
Yeah.
Always had trouble making weight.
Yeah, they were doing this storyline where Matt Hardy ends up losing to Billy Kidman on just a random episode of SmackDown.
Yeah.
And Matt Hardy says, you know what? I'm 230 or something like that. And at the time, the weight limit for the cruiserweights was 220. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to go to the cruiserweight division. I'm going to take Billy Kidman's title. And so like the next week, he's wearing like this black rubber suit. And the announcers even like make a point, like, because Matt Hardy's like winded doing it as like, cutting that much weight in such a quick amount of time, not good for you. So they actually do bring that up.
Yeah, he was so obsessed with making weight that it eventually cost him in the match, which usually happens to people who are obsessed with cutting weight.
What I loved about this particular storyline, I was telling to Matt before you got on Taker, the care they took in telling this story.
This was back when they had bookers that knew what the hell they were doing.
Well, I know, but it stands out to me is they wanted Matt. The end goal of this story was to get Matt to the Cruiserweight Championship, to give him something. So what they decided to do was tell the story of this guy who's lost this random match, who becomes so focused that he's trying to drop weight. And they always brought up the weight limit, how much weight he had to lose, where he was, what he was doing. They told a story that eventually culminated with the right outcome, which was Matt winning the championship from Billy Kidman.
Mm-hmm.
And this was back. Was the weight limit 220 or 225?
No, the weight limit was actually 235.
And then he had to get down to.
He was Matt was I believe was advertised at 250. He had to lose 15 pounds to get down to 235, and he tried to do it inside of 14 days. At least that's what they were saying. And at the weigh-in, he basically stripped down to being butt-ass naked. He came in at 234 and 3/4.
Yeah, it was something like that. I always loved how they had that delineation of the weight classes.
Yep, because most light heavies and cruiserweights was the weight limit was 235. Because they were using the boxing limit at that time.
Yeah,
not what they're using now.
I mean,
I kind of wish they'd go back to that.
Me too.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Well, I was just going to say that before I get to the next one, they did kind of do this recently with 205 Live, where Buddy Murphy had to kind of cut weight, and even at one point he did not make weight, and so that's why he wasn't able to challenge for a title or something like that. So they have been doing it with Buddy Murphy recently, but yeah, I
wouldn't mind them playing around with that weight limit again. I think 205 becomes too restrictive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they up that to 215,
hell, even 220,
you could then play with it and then maybe even get it onto TV. But that's another discussion for another day.
I mean, shit. Seth Rollins would be qualified.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say that the only thing that Matt Hardy was missing at this point in time was a chicken suit. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, and I went and I waxed poetic about it before you got on, TM. The version 1 Matt Hardy in this cruiserweight run, the story they told here, I think is a direct progenitor to what we're seeing now in terms of creatively with Woken Matt Hardy.
Yeah. That was the bare bones beginning, I think.
Yeah, it was our first glimpse that no, there's a character here with Matt. He has personality.
Yeah, he did.
He always kind of got overshadowed by the charismatic, his brother being so charismatic and, for lack of a better word, insane in some of his matches, that this was his coming out party. This was Matt.
It was. I mean, if we think about it, if we look back on 2003 and the pay-per-view we're talking about, which I believe was No Way Out, right?
Yep.
We saw the first inklings of broken Matt Hardy there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, backstage with Jeff.
Yeah.
He says, like, if you weren't all caught up in your imagination, then you wouldn't be losing every single match that you're in. And Jeff slaps him.
Right. You know,
so
and people don't realize the fact that Matt is a genius when it comes to booking off the wall stuff.
Matt might have a future backstage when it's all said and done.
I would love to see him.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
I would love to see him as an agent.
You too, Metal.
I don't know if anyone was going to catch that. But yeah, I think Matt Hardy could definitely be a booker if they let him have some freedom, which I don't know if would ever happen, but he could definitely do it. Because I know that he and Jeff Hardy had a backyard wrestling federation, like Omega or whatever.
Trampoline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all those Carolina boys grew up doing that. That's where Shane Helms. That's where they're close. That's why the Bucks are almost considered Hardy ripoffs because they're Carolina guys.
Hell, the Revival, both of them are from Carolinas.
That whole Carolina crew, for the lack of a better term, they all kind of idolize and kind of worship the ground Matt and Jeff walk on. Because they have been doing it for so long and they were so instrumental in some of them other guys getting into the business, like Shannon Moore and Greg Hurricane. There's an entire crew of guys who kind of are close with Matt and Jeff and have worked with them, and they're very tight-knit.
Yeah. Yeah, but now I'm just imagining people like Ric Flair and Biff Kensington wrestling on a trampoline.
I'd pay for that match. I'd pay for it. Okay, so the next match, Matt, because I think the next match is.
I still have a couple things to say about this match.
I'm sorry, please. The floor
that's fine. That's fine. I was just going to say that. Did you know what the mat facts here for this pay-per-view are?
I saw the mat facts and I didn't bother to write them down to remember. Something about snow and ice.
Yeah, there's two here. Matt is annoyed by snow and ice, and Matt likes hot tea with milk and sweetener.
Those mat facts were some of the greatest little things ever. Yeah. Ever. They were so creative, and they were stupid, and they were throwaway, but they just added to it, to this delusional Matt Hardy.
Yeah, yeah, I really did. Like I do remember, like JR at Survivor Series. It was like it was something like it was like a Matt facts, or I don't know what the fact was. But it was like, Matt like such and such, and like JR like, who gives a damn?
Well, the thing about JR is that he would always bring up the most obscure facts about anybody in the ring.
So these Matt facts kind of stole his thunder a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's this.
Yeah, and how'd you feel about the match itself? Because this is a bit of a back and forth match. I thought the match got a lot better as it went on. I thought their styles really clicked together. Matt Hardy being, technically he's a cruiserweight, but he's still more or less a heavyweight, really. And so I thought their styles worked really well together. And there are several interference spots from Shannon Moore, and then Matt Hardy hits an avalanche twist of fate to win the title. Matt Hardy is now the cruiserweight champion. So how did you guys feel about this match overall?
I think it's a fine match. I think as they got closer to the finish, it picked up.
Yeah,
but that's always a sign of a good match.
Yes, yes, that's true. I think I'd give this a solid 3 if I was again rating it.
I give it a 3.75.
I think it's just a solid championship match that you knew where probably going into it where they wanted to go with it. The avalanche twist of fate was a great finish. You really hadn't seen that to that point. And really, the right guy won. This was the story they were trying to tell, and they told it. And then they knew where they wanted to go afterward. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't see more of Billy. When Billy Kidman's going, he can get really good. But we never got a good high-speed Billy Kidman moment. So I think that kind of took away.
He didn't really get his good moment. Well, he had a lot of his good moments in WCW.
Yeah, and that's
why Hulk Hogan.
Yes, he did. Back when that meant something.
Yep. Remember, he had the run-in with or the incident with Bobby Heenan. Kidman did.
Yeah.
Where Heenan actually cussed him out on air.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because Heenan was off limits, and Kidman actually did something where Heenan dropped an F-bomb on national television.
Then he also did Brian Pillman.
Oh, no, that was Pillman. You're right. My mistake.
Yeah, I remember it happening, but I can't believe you got Brian Pillman confused with Billy Kidman.
Hey, it happens. I'm an old man. I suffer from sometimers, okay?
Sometimers? Okay.
But yeah, Billy Kidman did beat Hulk Hogan in 2000 in WCW.
We don't need to talk about 2000s WCW, okay? We were having a good time, and then you bring up 2000s.
But hey, bro, I swear to God, this is going to be good for Billy
Vince Russo,
Kidman.
you need to be shot. Go away.
Do you want me to leave the podcast? Because that's how you get me to leave.
Bro. I'm the same guy who gave the title to what's his name? The actor.
Oh God, please stop it.
David Arquette, bro.
David Arquette. Yes, David Arquette. Yes.
Bro, we're going to promote this movie, and it's going to make so much money with David Arquette as the champion. I swear to God, bro. Oh God, I do it so well, I make myself sick.
The greatest booker ever.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. He makes Kevin Dunn look good.
Oh, that's some big words.
So
I don't care if Bucky Beaver listens or not. I'm speaking truth.
So did we have a backstage segment after this match, or did we go right into the next one? Because I think the next one, Taker might have an interest in.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, there is a big backstage segment with huge ramifications because Edge is found taken out backstage. And so this is basically Edge is being ridden off of television because he has to have neck fusion surgery. So he's going to be out for well over a year.
Yeah, this was Angle's plan from earlier in the night to take out one of his opponents. This is quite honestly, and it didn't dawn on me until just how you said it there, Matt. This is the beginning of the end.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, it is.
Because after the surgery, he's more or less on borrowed time.
The clock started ticking after this pay-per-view. He got a solid run out of it, don't get me wrong. He hung around, but this was the borrowed time. Edge's career was on the clock. So
next match, I think Taker's Minion is really going to have an interest in, because the next match, it's The Undertaker versus The Big Show.
With who's in Big Show's corner?
Paul Heyman.
Yep.
Man, that little rat SOB.
Well, we need to talk about the build-up for this match, because this build-up is so amazing. Because this all starts at the SmackDown after No Mercy, because Big Show ends up getting traded to SmackDown, and the first thing he does is tosses Undertaker off the stage, and he's out of action for a few months. Taker comes back at the Royal Rumble. He wants Big Show. Paul Heyman, week after week, keeps taunting him with giant crates or gifts of some kind. But 1 week, it was Brian Kendrick making his debut as a bicycle messenger, singing a song. Oh, he's really, really sorry. Yes, he's really, really sorry. He'll never, ever do it. He'll never, ever do it. Big finish now. He'll never do it again.
And then Taker
Glass rides him.
Yeah. But Matt, you have to tell the best moment leading up to this match. The big crate.
And I believe like a week after that, it was Brother Love in one of the grades.
I love you.
And this is during the time of Biker Taker that I'm not real fond of.
But I remember before he opened up the Brother Love crate,
the look on his face.
Do you remember the puppy?
Yeah, that was like on the Go Home show.
I remember the puppy. Yeah.
Yeah, he opened the little thing, and then there was the puppy, and then but the Brother Love one, that Brother Love comeback was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did like the history that they were doing with it because they do mention that Brother Love, and even Brother Love himself mentions it. They mentioned that Brother Love was the one who brought Undertaker into WWE to begin with, at least in storyline. Yeah. So I like that.
That was storyline. Yeah. But, those of us who know the history of the Undertaker know that it was actually oh shit.
A bunch of people over the years have claimed to be the guy to have brought in
It wasn't Bruce.
I know Bruce claims he did it.
I know he did.
I know Nash
Hulk Hogan has claimed that he did it.
No, Hulk Hogan had nothing to do with it either.
I know Kevin Nash has claimed at one point in time he put the bug in their ear to bring up the Undertaker.
No, the thing about it is that Mark Calloway, a.k.a. Texas Red, under a mask. And a lot of people don't know this about him. It's like I said, my name may be TakersMinion, but actually I'm a Mark Calloway Mark. Paul Heyman was the one who saw Mark Calloway for what he was as Mean Mark Callis.
That's when he was working at WCW, wasn't it?
Yes. He was part of the Skyscrapers with Dangerous Dan Spivey.
He got that name, Mark Callis, from Ole.
Yep.
Ole gave him that first name, and then they didn't do anything with him.
Mm-mm.
How did he get to New York?
Well,
I've heard too many stories.
Vince Sr. knew Paul Heyman.
Right. I knew there was that connection.
Yeah, there was that connection. And Paul Heyman, because Mean Mark was basically released.
Right.
Senior was told by Paul Heyman, this is how I understand the story. Vince Sr., who was still semi-conscious at this time because he was fighting cancer.
I was going to say, was he alive?
He was semi-conscious fighting cancer.
Didn't he die in 86?
You are correct. My mistake.
I would imagine if anybody's got a hold of, it'd be Paul getting a hold of Vince Jr. in this story.
That's right. Paul Heyman got a hold, but you're right. Paul Heyman got a hold of Junior, Vincent Kennedy, because Mean Mark was released.
Here's this big guy. What do we do with him?
Yep, and he was a big guy who could walk the ropes, do a lot of stuff that cruiserweights could do.
And we saw that in this match.
Mm-hmm. Even now, almost 30 years later, he still does it.
I like kind of spinning around, going back into this match. Taker has always had an issue working with big guys.
He made Kane, a.k.a. Glenn Jacobs, look good.
That's about the only one.
He made Big Show look good.
And he could work with show. It's just that if you gave him a guy who was just lumbering, it just never worked. But guys like Glenn Jacobs and Big Show who could work a little bit, well, Glenn Jacobs, my God. If there was ever a carbon cutout for Mark Calloway, it's Glenn Jacobs.
Yeah, no kidding.
But this match was a fine little.
That story is another one to be told.
Well, we could sit here and tell the stories all night, but there's a pay-per-view we have to discuss.
Yes, I know. Let's put it this way: Paul Bearer at this time was Undertaker's manager, and he went down and did something with Smoky Mountain.
Yeah,
and that's where Glenn Jacobs was found.
Corny brought Jake. We're going to tell the damn story, folks. Sorry. Jacobs, Undertaker went down to do a spot for Smoky Mountain. That went what, 95?
95 or 96.
And then he worked a match against the Unabomb, who was Glenn Jacobs under a gimmick, a mask or something. I think.
The Unabomber.
Yeah.
No, Unabomb.
Unabomb.
Well,
that was the play. That was the play on the word, but they didn't want to directly connect it because for reasons. And they had a match. Taker goes back up to Stanford and tells Vince, there's this guy who I think I can do something with working in Smoky Mountain. Get him up here. And that's how we got Kane.
No.
Oh, we got
Isaac Yankem.
Isaac Yankem. Yes.
Then fake Diesel.
We don't need to talk about that. I saw Kevin Nash say the other day, my God, is there any bigger heel than a dentist with bad teeth? How does that not get heat? Well, what do you do with the...
He was affiliated with Law.
Yeah. And all the Bret Hart stuff, the Lawler Bret Hart stuff. God, we have got so far off track.
Well, going back to the crates a little bit, Brother Love was in one of them, and then the next week it was Canyon dressed as Boy George singing "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?"
Oh God,
it was who?
And the sad
Canyon,
Chris Canyon,
from
WCW.
Oh God, that. Ooh.
Oh God, Chris Canyon. A worthless wrestler who couldn't do shit.
I actually thought he was pretty good.
I liked Canyon, the whole "Who Better Than Canyon" gimmick. I think it was fine for what it was. But
yeah, it was. But you know what? In the ring, he was terrible.
But my God, making that had to have been a rib. Making Canyon.
I've heard different stories. I've heard that Canyon pitched the idea himself, which I don't know. I also heard that it might have been a rib because during that segment, Undertaker swings a chair at Canyon's head and cracks him so hard on the head. And apparently he got a concussion from that.
Yeah, one of many. I know Canyon had several over the course of his career. This said, folks, for those who don't know, Canyon was a gay man.
Yes, he was.
To send a gay man out singing Boy George to The Undertaker, if he suggested it, rest in peace, may he rest in peace, that's fine. But that screams a rib from someone in the back.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I've heard different stories. I don't know if I've heard he pitched it. I've heard it was a rib. I don't know what it was.
And if Taker got upset and decided that doesn't look good on Taker.
Oh, I know, but the thing about it was at this time, Taker had been with the company, what, 7 years already?
Oh, longer than that.
Well,
right,
he debuted in 96, and this is 2003.
Almost
so it's what, 7 years. at this point.
Yeah.
Taker was already in the spot as locker room leader and conscious of the locker room.
Yeah, there's something about all.
Because of the way he was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It still is, for that matter. I can guarantee you, if Taker was to walk into the locker room today, even though he passed the torch to Roman Reigns, which is what has been documented by a lot of people and a lot of folks in the locker room, if he says, no, tonight the locker room is mine, it is.
Yeah. I just have a feeling that moment was meant to be something that probably could have gotten a whole lot worse.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it's a rib, it's a mean one. It's a nasty little rib. Because I think someone sent him out there with the idea that Taker wouldn't get pissed.
Oh, yeah. They sent him out there with that intention in mind. And I think this was one way that they wanted to get rid of Kenyon.
Probably.
Because, back then, homophobia was pretty rampant because of all the stuff that was going on with the AIDS virus and whatnot. And to be truthfully honest, 2003, 2004 was the beginning of the end for the color of wrestling.
Yeah. Well, we got some color in this match.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this match, it starts out pretty great because Taker brawls with Big Show on the outside, but it slows down so much.
Yeah,
Big Show just so repetitive, does like a bajillion elbow drops, does a bajillion headbutts.
Didn't he do 6 or 7 elbow drops in a row?
Yeah, I think so.
People paid good hard money to watch the Big Show do 7 damn elbow drops in a match. And this is 500-pound Big Show. He ain't moving well, folks.
Yeah, I think he was also dealing with a back injury at this point in time because Brock was constantly suplexing him every night in matches. So his back is feeling it pretty bad.
And he also has hair. He still has hair at this time. That's how old this match is.
Yeah, and he does finally go back to the one strap singlet instead of the whole pants look. And I think he looks a lot better this way.
Yeah, Joe was athletic. Joe was an athletic dude. But but this isn't that time where he's every bit of 5'10", 5.
Yeah. This is basically when Show was a fat ass.
Yeah, and it shows. I mean, he's leaning on the ropes. He's not moving. He's barely moving. And if you're going to work with Taker, you have to create some motion.
Yep.
Or else it's just a slugfest. And after a while, it gets boring.
Well, let's put it this way. If I remember correctly, during this match, Taker starts to shoot on Show because he's giving him a piss poor match.
I don't know if he's shooting, but but some of those hands look snug.
Oh yeah,
a little bit.
Oh yeah. Taker was someone that was all business. If you want a quality match, he's gonna tell you, look, you carry your end, or I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
This is, and then a chair gets introduced. Taker brings in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
And tear it up.
And he was already pissed at this point.
Show threw a hand, man. That was a quick hand into that chair, and it bounces off Taker's skull like a basketball. And Taker gets color. I don't know if that's hard way. You can tell that's a hard way because of how he started bleeding.
Yeah, I think it was hard way.
I think Taker was going to hard way Show, and Show's like, pardon my language, the fuck you are.
And then so they pretty much only throw hands this entire match.
Yeah, like this match is so freaking boring.
There's a-
A-Train interferes at one point that at least try and bring some life to this match. And Undertaker ends up doing a suicide dive on both Heyman and A-Train on the outside.
That neither one of them caught him. He managed to split the difference.
Yeah.
And Taker literally jumps out of the ring, gets a good 4 feet of air. And
He always was good at that.
And then he comes down right in the middle of the two on the damn ramp. And then, at that point, I'm looking at the camera like, do I have to set myself on fucking fire here, folks?
And so the finish of the match is pretty interesting because Undertaker busts out a new move. He busts out, I don't know if it was
2 new moves.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily the Hell's Gate per se, but it was like some kind of prototype Hell's Gate.
No, the Hell's Gate and the triangle he used in the match are 2 separate moves. The triangle is just when you got the arm and you use your legs to help restrict some of the airflow to the neck. The Hell's Gate is also known as the Go-Go Plata, and that's where you take your opponent's neck and you place it in between your shin, and then you bring your other leg around to apply the pressure. That was the Hell's Gate. But did you notice the other move he kind of used? And I had never noticed
the Dragon Sweeper.
And did you hear what?
Well, he was using that move because he was using it on guys like Al Snow and The Rock and even Ric Flair at WrestleMania. So he did use it at times, but it wasn't necessarily part of his repertoire, I guess.
No, but did you hear what they called it?
What do they call it?
They called it the TBC, the Taking Care of Business.
Oh, man.
TCB, I'm sorry. So I had never heard his Dragon Sleeper named. So that stood out to me more so. But you're right. He busts out the triangle choke to end the match because he knows he can't pick up show.
Yeah, because he tries throughout the match and he just can't do it. So I like that aspect of the story.
And it also is the beginning of MMA Taker.
Yeah.
MMA Taker starts to roll around. He's using the strikes and the chokes and to win his matches a little more. And then it eventually leads into the Hell's Gate, becoming a part of his finish. The weird A-Train run-in, though. Why? And why?
Well, Undertaker's first singles match when he came back was against A-Train on SmackDown, and he actually did tap out A-Train with that Dragon Sleeper. So this is sort of the beginning of the feud of A-Train, Big Show, and Taker for WrestleMania 19. And Nathan Jones is going to be a part of it as well.
Oh, God, Nathan Jones.
Take a talk, mate.
He was a discount Crocodile Dundee if there ever was.
Who's that?
Don't you remember Nathan Jones, right?
Oh, shit.
And how they tried to make him a legitimate opponent for Taker.
Yeah, it was all kinds of disaster.
Yes, it was.
We have an A-Trade run-in that eventually leads to Nathan Jones.
So yeah, how would you three feel about this match overall?
It's a brawl.
It's a brawl that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's my least favorite match on this card.
I don't think any Big Show match from this era should be going as long as it did.
No.
Well, let me put it like this. And this is going to sound cruel to a lot of Big Show fans, but at this time and during this era, Big Show was nothing more than a fat ass.
Yeah, like, Big Show wasn't doing his best work at this point in time. So, so naturally, he's going to be SmackDown's top heel in the summer.
My God.
My God, he's not doing his best work. He 3 minutes into a match, he's already blowing up because he's not maintaining his weight. He's not maintaining his goddamn cardio. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so bad for TakersMinion because he is going to be guest starring on the Judgment Day 2003 episode with me, and I feel so bad that he has to watch.
Oh, I know. I've already started watching, and I'm like, you bastard, you.
You guys want to hear something sad, really, really sad about this match? According to Wikipedia, it's the longest match of the night.
And it feels that long, too.
It is 14 minutes long.
And it feels like an hour.
Yeah.
I have watched this pay-per-view you're talking about, and it's like, why is this match with Taker feeling so freaking long?
And I feel bad for Undertaker.
I like Undertaker matches that last 20, 30 minutes, and you're sitting there going, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel bad for Undertaker because it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. He's trying his best. It's not going to happen here.
I mean, like you said, Matt, there is a stretch in this match, and I think it happened almost relatively within the same time frame, where he dropped 7 or 8 elbows consecutively.
Yeah. And several headbutts.
Consecutively. And at that point, it's like I said earlier, Taker had to be wondering whether or not he had to set himself on fire to get something done. It's a 14-minute match that shouldn't have gone 7.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so the next segment is Eric Bischoff and Chief Mori are preparing for the match later tonight against Stone Cold. And Eric Bischoff sort of teases that he might make it a no disqualification or a lumberjack match. Vince comes in and says that the way he sees it, it's going to be Eric Bischoff, Karate World Champion, Karate King, Eric Bischoff versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and says that if anybody interferes, they're going to be fired on the spot.
So here we are, folks. I guess we kind of have to let the cat out of the bag. This is Steve Austin's return to the company, and it's a match against Eric Bischoff because Eric Bischoff dared put his hands on good old JR Jim Ross.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that when we get to it, but it wasn't necessarily because of that. It definitely added to it, but the match was made like a week before that. Because
that's right.
Bischoff, I mean, we'll get more into it as we go on.
The driving force was the Bischoff putting his hands on JR.
Yeah.
But this is we're trying to be coy about it, but this is really a big deal.
Yeah. Because we all know how beloved JR is in the universe, as well as with the talent in the back in the locker room. JR was someone that could make or break a career.
Mm-hmm. And I think,
if anybody here says otherwise,
but I think that we could get into it when we get to the actual match. But this match is important for a whole bunch of different reasons. So let's just really get to it. Get to the next one, Because this next one, well, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this match. And
all right, so the next match is Brock Lesnar and Chris Benoit versus Team Angle. The match is made a handicap match after Edge gets attacked backstage.
I'm going to do my best to talk about this match as objectively as possible, considering who's involved.
Okay. I know what you mean now.
This is a fine match. Really young. I mean, the world's greatest tag team, Shelton and Charlie, did a lot of good work in this one. They also took a little bit of an ass kicking in this one. You don't get in the ring with Benoit and come out for it any better, usually. You know you've been in the ring there with a God, this is so hard to talk about.
If you were in a match with Benoit, you were in a match that was stiff from beginning to end.
Yep.
Benoit, despite what happened, and I'm going to go on record saying this, and I've said this on my own show more than once. Benoit was one of the greatest workers to ever lace up a pair of boots.
Yep. But he kind of ruined. You can't talk about it. Which is a shame on some level, but on some level, it's kind of what happens. It's kind of what you deserve. You don't deserve to be talked about.
No, the thing about it is that he was suffering from an extreme form of CTE. It's been documented.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not saying that as a pass for what he did to his family.
Right.
I'm stating that as a known fact that this man, and the thing about it was, one of his signature moves was the flying headbutt.
And when he hit this match, and I just kind of had to collect myself because I'm like,
he did. And the thing about it is that who brought the flying headbutt into existence?
Dynamite.
Harley Race.
Harley Race.
Yes.
And Harley Race has stated publicly he regrets bringing that to existence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because of what happened with Chris Benoit.
Yeah. This is also very young, and I hate to kind of change gears here, but this is very young Brock. Brock looks like a child.
Mm-hmm.
He is baby-faced. He's still big as hell. He's also smooth. You can tell how smooth Brock. I mean, he just glides in the ring at this point in his career because he's so athletic.
Yeah.
It was a good handicap match. But there was enough chaos to where the baby faces could get over. And
well, go on.
No, go ahead. I didn't really have a follow-up.
Oh, I was just want to say that. Did you guys notice that? Did you guys feel like they were trying to protect Kurt Angle here? Because it's well documented that Kurt Angle is working through a bit of a neck injury right now, and he's doing a lot of rest holds here. So did you feel like they were trying to protect him?
Yes.
They were trying to protect him, but then yet again, this is where Brock misses the shooting star press and hurts himself.
Yeah,
well,
that would happen.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's a Mania.
Oh, excuse me, Mania. My bad.
So yeah, no, you're good.
That's fine. That's fine.
I mean, Jesus. I got so much in my head.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because I'm old.
That's fine. That's fine. Absolutely fine.
But you know what? I think it was not only they were protecting Angle, they were also protecting their match. They were protecting their Mania match. don't let Brock get his hands on Kurt because we don't want to give anything away.
Even though he F5s him at the end of the match.
Right. Which was so throwaway to me. Benoit's already got the win, but we have to get the F5 in? Okay.
Yeah, it felt like a mess. It felt like a mess near the end because I had no idea who the legal man it was.
I don't think anyone knew either. I think once Benoit slapped that crossface on, it was done.
Well, the thing about it is that Brock and his F5 has to get over. Even now.
Yeah.
Even now.
Boy, do I have words.
Go ahead and say them.
Go away, Brock. Take that red licorice belt and just go away. Go fight.
I agree with you. You know, even though WWE is recognizing his reign as a record breaker for CM Punk, it isn't.
Go take that belt. Take it down to the octagon with you when you go fight John Jones. Because we all know that's the fight that's going to happen.
And when John Jones kicks your ass, he can take both.
Because then let them both be I want that to be the biggest freak show the UFC ever put on. I want Brock so gassed up he can't fit through the cage door. I want John Jones so high on cocaine he looks like Tony Montana towards the end of the movie. I want that fight to be a freak show because that's what we deserve after being put up with Brock sitting at home at his farm in Canada for 6 months out of the year while he's claiming to be a champion. Sorry to sound like a mark, folks, but it gets a little annoying.
Well, let's put it this way. Yes, Matt, you've lost control of this show.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
Well,
this is gonna be one of the most memorable episodes ever.
I am. I'm telling you. You should have known when I came here we were going to get the current events.
Yep.
Oh, that's fine, man. I am all for TakersMinion joining me anytime you want to be on the show. Just let me know.
Hey, same goes for you, buddy. On either show I have, but that's beside the point. Brock, the understanding from what I have gotten and the rumors I have heard and I have looked into, because I have some access now, as long as he is Universal Champion, he isn't going anywhere.
Gross.
So he is going to be fed everybody. And I hate to say this, ladies and gentlemen, but I think that he's even going to be fed Braun Strowman yet again.
Oh. Sorry, folks. That was me getting audibly ill.
Hey, Adam,
Yeah.
how does Vince work?
You asking me legitimately or asking me to take a guess?
Both.
The man is getting ready to drop $500 million into a football league. I don't know how he works. All I know is that it always comes out roses for him. Always.
Well, the
Let
first
me tell you
XFL
something,
kind
pal.
of died on the vine, but that's beside the point.
Where's my football?
You can't do. Listen, pal. You can't do Vince as well as I can. Just like you can't do. This is my church. This is my church. WWE is my church.
I look.
Remember, Matt, people have told me I could do Triple H just as well as he is.
Oh, boy. We have gone off the rails, folks.
I love everybody on K-Side. I love everybody that listens. I'm just being me.
when you look at this, while we're off topic, I guess, the man's company just reached a net worth of $6 billion. And that's with an absentee champion, piss poor house show attendance, and booking that leaves a lot to be desired. His personal wealth is somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.5 billion. And he's going to sink $500 million of it into a football league.
Yep.
And if it fails, he'll be fine.
Yep. And this includes your favorite. This includes your favorite woman, Matt. Actually, I should say one of three.
Yeah, you have to pick one, Matt.
Yeah, he loves him some Becky Lynch, but he also likes himself. He also loves himself some of the Iconics.
Yeah.
Now the reason I say Iconics
because that's how it's spelled. Damn it!
It has to do with a joke with someone with A. Ron. And if anybody knows who A. Ron is,
you've been watching good television.
Yep. But if you don't, it's A. Ron Rogers.
Yeah. And then of course the great
and ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are on the nightly, when I start giving Matt hell about Iconics, leave me alone. It's an ongoing and running rib between the two of us. I am not attacking him personally.
So we come out of this.
It's all good. It's all good.
We come out of this match. The baby faces are standing tall. Well, Brock's standing tall.
How'd you feel? How'd you guys feel about this match overall?
It's a perfectly good holder. It's a placeholder because we know what the end result is. End result is we're going to get.
Go on.
Is Brock and Angle. Brock and Angle to Mania. And they had to get there somehow.
Brock and Angle at Mania with the Bosch Shooting Star Press.
Yeah, I thought it was an okay match. It was obviously just something for Brock and Angle to do before Mania, and it did it fine. You know, it was perfectly okay.
So we come out of this match and we go backstage, right?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think we do, or
do we go right into?
Yeah, we go right. Yeah, we go right into the next match. The next match, our rematch to everyone's favorite Royal Rumble title match. It's Scott Steiner versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight title. And something big has happened since the Royal Rumble because Evolution has officially formed.
Yep. This is Baby Orton and Baby Batista, although they're not there out there at the beginning of the match. I think this is really peak Reign of Terror Triple H.
I don't know if it would be peak. I would say maybe.
We're getting close.
Probably Booker T or Nash, maybe even Goldberg would be peak. But yeah, we are getting there slowly but surely.
We're arguing semantics at this point.
Yeah, of course, is this weird? Could you guys tell really that Scott didn't give a damn?
No,
a little bit.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, Scott didn't give two shits.
He knew he wasn't going over.
Yep, he's like, I'm going to do the bare minimums, and pardon my language, Matt. Fuck the system.
Yeah, Scott. The crowd was. This is another one where the crowd was fun.
The crowd was interesting here. We get "You Screwed Brett" chants at Earl Hebner.
Yeah, the crowd was into it, but Scott was like, I can get two shits. I'm just here to collect a check, kiss my ass.
The crowd from the jump cheered Hunter. They were
Yeah,
cheering
they
Hunter.
even when Triple H was shoved down Earl Hebner, they would still cheer.
They were cheering Hunter and booing Steiner. We got a "You Screwed Brett" chant at Earl Hebner. We got Flair shenanigans. We got a rundown. I mean, what's a shame here is that we know Scott can work.
Yep.
Yeah, like at this point in time, he wasn't really doing his best work. I mean, part of it was because his best days were kind of behind him. I think he was past his prime at this point. Also, he was working with a foot injury.
Whoa. Listen to me when I say this to you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
All yours.
Scott Hall was not past his prime at this point.
Steiner,
maybe. I'll give, Scott, this is Scott Steiner we're talking about. Papa Pump, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The problem with Scott Steiner was he was roid infected.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem with Scott Hall is that he was alcohol, painkiller, and cocaine infected.
Yeah, this Hall's another story.
There is a big difference between that.
Yeah,
between what was going on with Steiner and what was going on with Scott Hall. And Scott Hall will tell you to this day he regrets what he did. Scott Steiner will not say that even
ever.
Now.
Scott, what didn't Steiner just cut a promo on Hunter 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, he did.
I don't think Steiner is over his run in WWE. I think he blames Hunter for a lot of.
Yeah, he blames Hunter for a lot of his problems, but yet his problems were roid related.
And also by that time, good Lord, how old was Steiner in 03?
I don't know. Had to be like
32, 33 maybe?
Yeah, that beach blonde hair made him look so much older.
Yeah.
Well, hell, even by that time, he had it.
I believe he was 41 at this point, I think.
He's 45 now, I think.
He's 55 now.
He is 55.
Yeah, he's older than me. Oh shit.
I
turned 54 this month. 19 days ago.
Scott Steiner's 56th birthday is literally next month to the day. So in 2003, he'd be early 40s.
But yet he needed something to get himself over.
Look, I'm not going to knock the man. The what he was doing worked. His physique was insane. He had also some of the best amateur credentials you could ever ask for.
Oh, he was great as an amateur.
He was legit.
So was Scott.
Rick.
Or should I say Rick, yeah.
Yeah.
Both of them were legit
tough guys.
Amateur wrestlers.
They were legit dudes. But by this point, Steiner was more sizzle than steak.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, sure, he'd throw a couple. He threw a pretty suplex. He'd pop his hips. He could throw a guy over his head. I mean, it always looked good. It's just that.
Shit, Rick could do the same thing. I always liked Rick.
Rick was fun in WCW.
Dog Feet Gremlin. I loved him.
But at this point, Steiner is just a brawler. He's clubbing guys. He's hitting Hunter hard on some of those chops.
And you could see it. You could see it in Hunter's face. He's
Well,
like, really, you bastard? Really?
They do the little bit with the leg. He rips at the bandage, but they never really go anywhere with it. He rips
Yeah,
at the
I liked
bandage.
what they were trying to do, but it didn't quite go anywhere.
And so, how many times in this match did we get Steiner posting Hunter up in the corner or up against something, and it was chop, forearm, chop, forearm, and that was his entire corner offense: chop, forearm, chop. Like, good God, man, you know how to work. Please work, or if you're not going to, make it look like you give a damn. But he's just doing these one-arm chops and clubbing forearms, and he'll do a suplex or a clothesline, and then he put on the laziest Steiner recliner.
Yeah, it really was so lazy.
He just sits down and pulls his arm back because he's looking at the ramp waiting for the run-in.
Yeah.
So he's completely telegraphed the run-in by Orton and Batista. Although
I mean, granted, you kind of had to know they were going to get involved at some point, but yeah, he did telegraph it.
So he's telegraphed the run-in, and he clears house by himself. And I'll tell you this, Orton takes a hell of a bump.
Oh, yeah.
He takes I don't know which one impressed me more. The one off the turnbuckle or the one where Steiner grabs him by the collar of his shirt. And I swear to God, he threw Orton. And Orton sells it. He jumps. Like, he takes a good, 3 to 4 foot bump in midair.
Yeah, I think so.
And lands on the outside. It's a hellacious bump. And so Hebner throws out Evolution in a typical Triple H Reign of Terror fashion. Clocks him with the belt. That doesn't even finish the match, does it?
No, it doesn't. Like, Steiner kicks out too. Triple H has a pedigree immediately afterwards,
and then
he gets the 3 count.
It is such a Triple H match in the end, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I will say this: it's at least better than their Royal Rumble match. Like, it's not a complete disaster, but still, this wasn't a good match. It was not a good match at all.
It went 13 minutes. And I don't know if it didn't need. Do you think this match needed 13 minutes? Or do you think because of how short the subsequent match was, it needed to be long so that way it could cover for what the next match couldn't give?
I think this was a decent enough length. I think because it is a world title match. I really don't think a world title match should be that short unless you're doing something special with it.
Okay, what match are we talking about here?
Steiner, Hunter.
I stepped away for a minute.
The very end of Steiner.
Who?
We're at the very end of Steiner and Hunter.
Steiner Hunter?
For the world title.
I know Hunter went over.
Hunter goes over. You know, the finish of the match was Evolution distraction. Hunter gets the belt. Cheap shot behind the ref's back. Steiner kicks out after the pin. Hunter puts him immediately in the pedigree, and then that's the end of the match. Like I just told Matt, it's a typical Triple H match from this era.
Yeah, it is. It is. The thing about it is that this is shortly. Well, let's see. The curtain call happened in when?
96.
Okay, and Hunter had served his penance
long before. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, you know, Vince is going to protect him as best he can.
Yeah. Which title number is this, Matt?
Huh?
I
think it's 4 or 5?
Well, his first one was on the Raw in '99. Second was an Unforgiving. Third was right before Royal Rumble 2000. The fourth was at Judgment Day. Fifth was when was the fifth? It was undisputed title at WrestleMania. Sixth was that on the Raw when he became the first Raw. So and he won the seventh at Armageddon a couple months before this. So I believe this is seven. I believe I could be wrong, but I think this is seven.
So already.
And how I know that off the top of my head, I have no idea.
That was actually pretty good.
Matt, it's called research and being a mark.
Yeah, true. And I'm a Triple H fan, to be honest. I am. So I am a Triple H guy.
I can tell you this much. I know that Undertaker won the title, the WWE title 5 times. And the World Championship twice, or 3 times. So he's an 8-time WWE World Champion.
I don't have anybody I'm that in on to know specifically. Well,
I can't tell you exact dates, but I know that he's got anywhere between 5 and 8 reigns as a title holder of some kind with WWE.
But let's kind of focus
the only sad thing about it is that the way WWE has been handing out Grand Slam winners, why isn't Undertaker a Grand Slam winner yet?
I don't think he ever won the Intercontinental title or the United States title. I don't think.
He's won the U.S. title.
Has he?
Yes, in WCW he won it.
Okay, in WCW. I was thinking of WWE.
I think because when he became Taker, he was always booked as an attraction.
Right.
And the attraction doesn't always need the belt.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
you are correct, Adam. You are 100% correct.
And then especially lower mid-card belts.
Well, here's another thing. You brought up something very interesting just now, Adam.
I do that a lot.
Taker was an attraction, yes or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is Brock right now?
He's a sideshow act.
He's an attraction, yes or no?
He's an attraction. People
I think
Brock.
Well, I think in WWE's mind, he is an attraction. He ain't the me.
Okay, well, if he's an attraction, does he need the title?
No.
No, he doesn't.
No.
Okay.
We have solved the problem, ladies and gentlemen. But
there's a few Tyson Punkos up in
here. And it took Adam Rice and myself, TakersMinion, to figure this out.
But I kind of want to go back to something we just kind of rushed over. And it deals with this era specifically. From 1999 to 2003, Triple H was a 7-time world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Harley Race was an 8-time world champion, and that was over the span of his entire career.
Yes, he was. But we could. That's a topic for another podcast.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. We have to get to the next match because we've been building to this match all night.
Yeah, I would say maybe the match that everyone wanted to see on this pay-per-view. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Eric Bischoff.
This is Austin's first match since he took his ball and went home.
Yep.
Yeah, because I believe his last match in WWE before this was a match against Ric Flair on Raw, I believe, in like late May, early June of 2002.
Was that the 2 out of 3 falls match?
I can't remember. I think the stipulation was. I believe
you are correct.
It was the 2 out of 3 falls match where Austin couldn't throw a punch.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a wrestling match.
It was supposed to be an old school match because that's how Flair did. Like Flair never threw a punch in his entire career.
And then earlier in the night, he pissed on Arn Anderson. Just thought I'd bring that up.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Fine.
That's not going to hurt anybody.
Fine. Shit on
my own
everybody
show.
while you're at it, Matt. Just like we shit on Becky and the Iconics. But anyway, the Harpies. The Harpies.
What they did to that man. Okay, I could go on a tangent about that whole Arn Anderson thing.
It's better be pissed on than pissed off.
Pissed off, according to Shawn Michaels. This match, it's not a good match, people. It's not. It is pure wrestling match standards. It's the drizzling shits. But it's not about the wrestling here. It's about the return of the guy.
Yeah, and the story behind this is that on the Go Home show for the Royal Rumble, Vince told Eric Bischoff that he had 30 days to turn Raw around. And if he didn't turn it around, you're fired.
I don't think you got enough.
Wait. Let me do it right. Let me do it for you guys.
You have to get some phlegm in there.
Eric Bischoff, you have 30 days to turn Raw around. If you can't, you're fired.
And we have a lovely compensation package for you on the way out the door.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Eric Bischoff decides to try and bring back Stone Cold. He even goes to Texas to do it, but he's unsuccessful. And so Eric Bischoff does get fired for a very brief time, but JR is able to bring him back. And so Eric Bischoff is brought back. And Eric Bischoff earlier in the night said that he would do anything to keep his job. And he almost joins the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. And
he doesn't end up joining it?
No, he doesn't. I can't do that. And so Vince says, well, if you can't join that club, you can join this club. You better well join or I'll fire you again. And it's the Get My Ass Kicked Club. That's a new one. And No Way Out, Eric Bischoff as a condition of employment. He will be competing in a match at No Way Out. Eric Bischoff in one corner, and in the other corner, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's still so much fun to hear that.
Yeah.
Steve Austin.
Yes, folks, this show has devolved into Vince McMahon impersonations.
What's that?
It's always fun to do.
What's that?
This show has devolved into competing Vince McMahon impersonations.
Well, let's put it this way, pal. According to many, I am the king of the Vince impersonation.
So, what happens next, Matt?
So the next week after that, Eric Bischoff ends up booking himself in a no-holds-barred match against Jim Ross. And so he ends up kicking a cinder block onto JR's head. Like right through JR's head. Which is why he's not commentating tonight.
And
so that more or less sets up the match. However, JR does come out to commentate this match.
And the place goes.
Because JR has personal interest in this match, and he's like, if I remember correctly, JR says, I want to see the Eric Bischoff, the son of a bitch, get his comeuppance.
Yeah, I think so.
JR is all sorts of fired up for this match. He is. He's playing his character. He's playing his role.
Well, no, the thing about it is that there was a lot of heat between Bischoff and JR because remember, ladies and gentlemen, Bischoff let JR go from WCW.
Bischoff let a lot of people go from WCW. He shouldn't
Let
have.
Stone Cold go.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
And
By
they-
FedEx. By
And
FedEx.
they even mention it. They do even mention it in this storyline.
Bischoff comes out and he's trying to weasel his way out of this match. He said, let's come down and we'll sing Kumbaya and all that, and the glass shatters.
And the place explodes.
I have that building came unglued. Because
Stone Cold showing up in his blue jean shorts, then bought to have his proper attire.
we didn't need it, and that was the whole point of this whole thing was supposed to be about Austin's return.
Yeah.
After he made probably to this day, and he's admitted it, the biggest mistake he ever made in his career. And that was refusing to do the job for Brock Lesnar.
Well, I can understand why he didn't want to do it, but yeah, I think him walking out.
What it was is that Stone Cold was basically paid into a corner, and he's like, "Screw you, I'm out of here."
And
Because at the point that they wanted him to basically job to Brock, he was a top face.
Yeah, and it's like he didn't have a problem losing to Brock, but he wanted there to be like some build up to it, like make a program out of it.
Yeah,
he wanted a program out of it, and they wanted him to do it basically overnight. And he's like, "No, kiss my ass, Vince."
But at the end of the day, to this day, he says that was a mistake.
Yeah, he does.
Because even though he was probably in the right opinion, he broke the cardinal rule.
Yeah, he did, and he admits it, which I have to give credit to Steve Austin for that. And the funny thing about it was that after what was it, 16, 18 months, JR called him and set up the meeting in Texas in a motel room or in a hotel room 14 floors up from the street.
So no one could get out.
No, there was a thought that he was going to throw Vince out or Vince was going to throw him out the window.
Which is totally, reasonable. The relationship between Vince and Steve is complicated.
Mm-hmm.
They love each other unconditionally,
but there are points where they hate each other unconditionally too.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way: it's the same with every top guy
and the promoter.
WWE with Vince. You could see this with Undertaker and Vince.
Mm-hmm.
You could see it with and I'm going to go old school on you all, folks.
That's what you're here for.
The Samoans, the Wild Samoans, and Vince.
Yeah. Hell, all the Samoans. All the Samoans and any promoter they ever worked for.
Which I'm going to say this right now. A lot of people don't know this, but the Wild Samoans in WWE were also known as the Wild Mongolians in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And they were managed by one Percy Pringle III.
Paul Bearer.
Exactly.
The thing here, talking about Austin, is he was the biggest star the business had ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked out the door, and it took what felt like forever. It really wasn't all that long.
What, 14 months?
Yeah, it was just a little.
It was like 7 months, I believe, like 7-8 months, somewhere around that. So it wasn't super long, but it was pretty long enough.
It was long enough.
Yeah, I did. I did miss Stone
ratings,
Cold.
that WWE's ratings dropped.
And you know, they're lucky they had who they had on the roster when they did.
Yep.
Because
Yeah,
it felt different, but they still had stars.
right.
Could you imagine if Roman took his ball and went home? Or
I don't know. I think they could still survive, maybe. But one thing I've always wondered about, I've always wondered what it would have been like if Stone Cold had been the first Elimination Chamber match. That's something I've always wondered about.
he didn't miss it by that much, did he?
The first Elimination Chamber was in November, and he returned in February, so just a little bit.
I think by this time, Austin was ready to be done. But he had to come back. But he had to come back on the right.
He retires a month after. Yeah, because he retires a month after this. So this is really the beginning of the end of Stone Cold's in-ring career.
But I think with the benefit of hindsight and looking at this match, that pop for Austin at No Way Out in the subsequent celebration was the thank you we never properly got.
Yeah.
There wasn't a Mania when people had no idea that was going to be his last match. The pop at No Way Out and the reaction of the fans then was the thank you to him that we never got to properly give him when he was a competitive wrestler. Because he never had that send-off. He didn't have the Ric Flair retirement ceremony or the Michaels retirement ceremony. There wasn't that opportunity to say thank you.
Nope, there wasn't.
No Way Out was that moment for Austin, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
even though people will say that his match with The Rock was that.
And I understand why people would say that, but I don't think so. Only because we didn't have the benefit of knowing that was it. Had we known that was it, that match would have been showered with adulation.
Yeah.
Everything.
It would have been a much bigger deal.
Would have been a much bigger deal.
That match, I will tell you this. And Matt and you, Adam, both know that I don't throw 5 stars around.
Mm-hmm.
The match between The Rock and Stone Cold, the last match they had together at WrestleMania, was a 5-star match, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I love that match, and we're going to talk about that match next week on the podcast.
Even though Stone Cold had badass knees and everything else,
and a bad neck.
He went out there one more time, OMT, and kicked ass. And he lost. And if you look at the end of the match, The Rock is telling him, "Thank you," in his ear.
Yeah,
because even though he was maybe 50 to 60% of what his character was 10 years prior, he still went out there and worked his ass off.
Oh yeah.
And so
yeah, I thought this match with Eric Bischoff was a lot of fun. Maybe not the best wrestling match ever, but it's not. It wasn't what that needed to be. What this needed to be was Stone Cold coming back and Eric Bischoff getting his comeuppance, and that's what happens here. Stone Cold just beats the hell out of Eric Bischoff in a SmackDown Here Comes the Pain karate attire.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of stunners. Like at one point, Stone Cold throws like a drink in Eric Bischoff's face at ringside. This match was really fun. I really love this match.
Fun match, 5 or 6 stunners, multiple middle fingers, and we can get out the door. Austin did what he needed to do.
The Austin Bischoff sent the crowd home happy. That is a job of the main event.
Well, believe it or not, this match wasn't the main event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the second to last match because the main event is right here. Right. It's The Rock versus Hulk Hogan Part 2.
Rock and Hogan again in Canada. What I love about this match, as opposed to the first one was amazing because it was what it needed to be. You forgot alignments. You forgot all about what you're supposed to do, and that crowd in Toronto took in the moment of Rock versus Hogan. So it's one of the greatest matches of all time. Not from a star standpoint, from a spectacle standpoint. This match, I actually like a little bit better than the Toronto match, the WrestleMania match. And here's why. It's because The Rock is playing a defined heel. And he is so good at being a dick. There's never been a better asshole in wrestling than The Rock.
Yeah, because the last time we saw The Rock, it was at SummerSlam 2002, and he was not well liked. I think because fans were starting to see their writing on the wall. I think fans were starting to think The Rock is not long for the wrestling world much longer. This is really this run right here is really his last active run as a superstar before he goes off to Hollywood.
Yeah, this is
his last heel run.
This is the Hollywood Rock run. He's just an asshole, and it's fun.
Yeah, like he has a completely different look, a completely different attitude. Like his head is shaved. He has a new tribal tattoo, new theme music, new Tintron. Like he reinvented himself. He really did. He reinvented himself.
He managed to get people to boo him. Eventually, they'd still pop for The Rock, but they'd still end up booing him by the end of the night. And what I also it's weird to go back and watch this Rock because he's so much smaller.
Yeah.
Can we come out and say it? The Rock now is not The Rock from then. Because The Rock now is on so much gas. So much gas. To his credit, he hasn't blown up yet. I'm actually impressed. But this is also...
This match, it's okay. I mean, it's really what this match is, it's a way to keep both guys busy because they're starting to build Hogan Vince for WrestleMania, but they can't do it just yet.
So they have to give us The Rock too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, like for me, this match, it's okay, but it doesn't feel special to me. Like it doesn't feel special.
The specialness is gone. Yeah. The specialness is gone. This is now just a wrestling match. And unfortunately, Hulk Hogan can't wrestle anymore. It was evident that his knees were shot, his back was shot, his hips were shot, and his gimmick was stale.
But he's still over. He's still very over.
But he's so massively over because he's Hulk fucking Hogan. And that means something. At that point, it still meant something.
Well, that and he was using Jimi Hendrix as his entrance theme. So.
Which was awesome. I loved it. I know he has to come out to I am a real American. No, go back to the Hendrix.
Yes.
The Hendrix opener was fun. It was different. And it lets you know you're going to know who's coming out either way. But at least the Hendrix one was a little different. And not so dated. even though it's Hendricks. And Hendricks is absolutely from a that period of time, but you get my drift.
Yeah. And so remember when I said earlier in the show that we might have a reminder of the Montreal Screwjob?
Well, what do you know? The finish of this match.
Yeah, so the finish is Hulk Hogan gets his comeback, hits the boot, hits the leg drop, 1, 2, lights out. And the lights come back on, the referee's down. Vince comes out and basically admits, yeah, I turned out the lights. And the referee pretty much hands Rock the steel chair. Rock hits him with a steel chair with a rock bottom. Rock wins via screw job. And also, did you guys recognize the referee here?
Yeah, they mentioned him by name.
Earl Hebner.
Nope.
No.
The future member of La Resistance, Sylvain Grenier.
Who?
You don't remember?
Sylvain Grenier of La Resistance.
I don't remember La Resistance. Enlighten me, please.
Okay, this should be fun. Right after the Iraq War started, in what, 03? 04?
Yeah, 03. Like, this is like a couple months after this pay-per-view.
Yeah, basically a couple months after this pay-per-view. Do you remember the whole thing of the Iraq War about France not getting involved? Well, the WWE decided they were going to catapult on this anti-French movement in the United States by creating a heel French tag team called La Resistance. It was the resistance to everything that is American. And there was the two members of it were Sylvain Grenier, who's a French Canadian actually, and the only actual Frenchman, Rene Dupree. And they were this heel French tag team that was basically the whole reason they were created was to catapult on this anti-French feeling in the U.S. at the time. They ended up winning the world tag titles. I forget when. They
Bad
even
blood.
And then they
just a couple months after they debuted, they won them fast.
And then they added a third member later on,
Rob Conway,
who was introduced, who's literally introduced as a fan sitting at ringside in a U.S. Army fatigues. And then he gets involved in a match when the heels are getting ready to desecrate the American flag. And then he turns on the Americans and is revealed as a French sympathizer. I can't make this up. This actually happened.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was in American uniform. He jumps the guardrail, I think he takes the flag or does something. And then he turns on the baby faces. Is revealed to be a member of La Resistance, this American French sympathizer. And then to top it all off, I can't believe this. They were actually given a run against the Rock and Sock Connection. They did a thing with the Rock and Sock Connection. When we get off the podcast, TM, go to the Google machine and look up La Resistance and look at the marvel of this mess.
It sounds like a mess.
It was just all about the fact that for a brief period of time, America hated France for not getting involved in a war it didn't want to get involved in.
Wasn't this the Freedom Prize bullshit?
Yes. This is around that time.
Okay.
Yeah. The war on terror.
And the thing about it is that since then, they have woken the hell up.
Well, the funny thing is, French special forces are a hell of a thing.
Yes,
Just so you're aware. But the very first introduction of this character, Sylvain Grenier, was as this Earl Hebner-esque ref on the take. and for Vince, and then Vince can come in. He mocks Hogan. He does the shirt gimmick, which, by the way, Vince was still looking good at this time.
Yeah. And it's like a specialized Hulk Hogan shirt. It has what you're going to do on the front, and on like it says what you're going to do, and in white words it says nothing. And on the back it says brother, and on the white text it says sucks. So it's like what you're going to do, nothing. Brother sucks.
This is the lead up into, honestly, Vince's best matches with the company.
Yeah, I think so.
The Hogan match. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I like Vince and Hogan at WrestleMania, but I also like Undertaker and Vince in the Buried Alive match later that year at Survivor Series.
Vince always had a penchant for getting his ass kicked. And that's the pay-per-view. Is Vince celebrating over the body of Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, what you think about this this match overall?
I liked it for what it was. The screw job finish was. We should have seen that coming a mile away.
Yeah, because it was in Montreal.
Because it was in Montreal for the first time since the screw job. I give this paper. I mean, if I was simply going pass fail, I'd give this pay-per-view a passing grade, but not by much. I think it's very milquetoast. It's a no way out. It's a C pay-per-view. The only thing I liked about this pay-per-view from an overall standpoint was it kept us guessing going on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's pretty much kind of the way I am too. Like, this is perfectly okay pay-per-view. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. It's a perfectly average pay-per-view. I guess Taker will appreciate this reference. It's the Adam Cole of pay-per-views, I guess you could say.
Baby.
Not so much me. It's my partner, NDS, who feels that Adam Cole is nothing but mediocre.
Yeah, and maybe Fizz as well, I believe. Fizz and MDS as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, this pay-per-view, it was perfectly okay. It was very average, I thought. What did you think of it, Tim?
You can have an average pay-per-view leading into a major pay-per-view, but you got to deliver at the major pay-per-view to make it worth a damn.
Yep.
And here lies a problem currently with WWE.
They're so uneven that you're surprised when you get a great pay-per-view. We can't even expect to have great WrestleManias anymore.
Nope.
But this show is what just a random pay-per-view is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a good night. Some baby faces win, some heels win. You're left with a moment of some sort that leads you into onto the next one. And in this case, the next one was WrestleMania. So you had to leave off with a note that makes sense, that's going to set you down on your road. And over the course of the next few weeks going into Mania, Rock Austin gets booked. Hogan McMahon. We get Austin, Angle, Lesnar. And who's Triple H's opponent?
Booker T.
God damn it. I didn't want to have to think about that match, but now you're going to have to make me think about that match.
Yeah, that was what took place at WrestleMania 19.
The match where...
That match happened at 19? Really?
Yeah, that was the match at 19, the world title match.
And to me, that was the match that happened.
I honestly, I watched that match when I was doing my WrestleMania reviews for the nightly. I actually really like that match, minus the ending. The ending is what ruins it. But I thought everything before that was really good. I thought those two were,
that's why I said it was the match that happened.
yeah, like because they do some really good moves in that match. Like they break out like moves, like rare moves, like Booker T does the Harlem Hangover. Triple H pulls out the Indian Deathlock.
Yeah.
Well, see this. Oh yeah, and this also leads us into Shawn Michaels versus
Chris
Jericho. So right there, we're getting. I mean, you go back and look at 19. The final 6 matches of WrestleMania. No, the final 4 matches of WrestleMania 19 are Shawn versus Jericho, Hunter versus Booker T, Hogan McMahon, Rock Austin. Well, then the main event is actually Lesnar Angle.
Yeah.
So that's 4 matches right there that have direct tie-ins to this pay-per-view. Hell, even that at WrestleMania 19, it was Taker versus Big Show and A-Train in a handicap match, which is a match I'm sure Taker remembers.
Which was a cluster.
It was under 10 minutes, so it's fine.
It was still a cluster, okay?
Yeah, I know.
It's one of the weaker matches on the card,
from
but
beginning to end. Because if I remember correctly, it was a football player that was supposed to be Rock's or Stone Cold's partner.
No, I think this was the culmination of the whole A-Train joining up with Big Show, and then them trying to go after Taker. And
who was Taker's partner in that match?
It was supposed to be Nathan Jones, but they decided that he was not ready for a WrestleMania match, so they wrote him out.
He still got involved.
Yeah, he still interfered.
Right. But so here we're getting from stuff that just happened at No Way Out between run-ins and aftermath shenanigans and what happened during the match and other things that were already planned. We get Taker versus Show and A-Train. We get Shawn HBK versus Y2J. Hunter versus Booker. Well, that doesn't directly tie into No Way Out, but it was that we knew that match was coming. And we get Hogan McMahon directly coming in out of No Way Out in their build. The Rock and Austin and Lesnar Angle. Even though we knew that was coming, that's still out of tie in No Way Out. So here we have the C pay-per-view doing its job, getting us to what matters, but still leaving us in a place where we didn't know Austin Rock was going to happen coming out of No Way Out. And we didn't yet know we were going to get really Hogan McMahon. So No Way Out did its job in setting us up for Mania in the best way possible, even though it was a very mediocre pay-per-view.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very, very average pay-per-view. So, yeah. So, I think that's it for this episode. Where can they find you? Where can they find you at?
They can find me on Twitter at PWFan01. Ohio State icon if you get confused. I'm open to talk about wrestling or whatever's on your mind. You can also find me at Cage-Side Seats under my name, Adam Rice. And on any of the various Cage-Side Seats affiliated podcasts when they ask me on to be a guest. I want to take this opportunity because I would not be able to be on tomorrow to congratulate TakersMinion, Mr. Dr. Senju, and the others who have helped the 1 year anniversary podcast of Shooting the Breeze. I will unfortunately not be able to partake because I'll be on a plane on my way to California.
You loser.
Oh, gosh, you. So I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you, Taker, on a year of podcasting with Shooting the Breeze.
Thank you.
And where can the good people find you, Taker?
Excuse me. You can find me on Twitter, of course, at Takers_Minion. You can also find me at the podcast that Adam Rice mentioned, Shooting the Breeze, which will be celebrating my 1 year anniversary tomorrow. It is going to be an extravaganza of mayhem because Mr. Dr. Senju has decided to leave an open invitation in the posting tomorrow morning on K-Side. So if anyone wants to come in, it'll be there on the posting. However, you must be a minimum of 18 years of age, and we will be asking you when you show up. Yeah.
There will be a copious amount of run-ins.
Oh, yeah. Our show will be starting 1 hour earlier, which is 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. So, we have worked hard to get to this point. I mean, we've had to alter our style of podcasting from WWE exclusive to everything else. You can also find me on a brand new podcast that just started, which is called Connoisseurs of Wrestling, where we talk about the history. It is myself, my wife, Legends Lover, who just had shoulder surgery this morning, and Biff Kensington III, where we talk about history of wrestling.
And let me just step in here real quick and say, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to listen to any podcast, you should be listening to all of them. But if you're going to be listening to any podcast regarding professional wrestling, the Connoisseurs of Wrestling is the cream of the crop. As one man once said, the cream always rises to the top. Oh, yeah. And that's the Connoisseurs of Wrestling. It's one of the finest historical podcasts you're going to find anywhere. I cannot highly recommend it enough.
Yeah, we have currently a ballot out on K-Side Seats, which is the third week of our 4-week knockout. You can find it on K-Side. If you need information on that, please contact me directly at Takers_Minion. On Twitter, I will send a copy of the ballot to you, and you can reply to me forthwith. Currently on this week's ballot is, let me look it up real quick here.
I know Terry Funk's on it.
No, I don't think is Terry on it.
I think Terry's on it.
I think it's Dusty, Terry. Ah, crap. I don't have anything in front of me. Damn it.
Hold on. I know we're doing this on the fly, folks. Give me one quick moment and I can hopefully save our asses. The Connoisseurs of Wrestling Hall of Fame fan voting ballot, Group C, comprises of Terry Funk, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes, the original Sheik Ed Farhat, and Governor Jesse the Body Ventura.
Please do vote on K-Side. The winner will be included on the final ballot, which will last 2 weeks and will be the Connoisseurs of Wrestling Hall of Fame inductee for August. We have one more group to come out. Yes, I know these groups have been difficult, but please, please, please vote. Matt, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at MetalMatt15, and I also hang out on Cage Side Seats a lot. I hang out in the daily and the nightly, as well as the SmackDown and NXT threads. And, got some podcasts to plug for Shooting the Breeze, which celebrates its 1-year anniversary tomorrow morning. Starts 1 hour earlier. Starts at 9 a.m. Eastern, or 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. I'm terrible with time zones, so yeah. But yeah, congrats to TakersMinion and Mr. Dr. Sinju on 1 year doing the podcast. It's an awesome podcast. I highly recommend it. Connoisseurs of Wrestling every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Two Guys, One Sport every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, as well as Violent Wrestling Podcast. No set time or date for it. They just do spontaneous episodes, but it's a great episode, a great show as well. So check them out as well. And next week will be a brand new episode of the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast, because next week is going to be a big episode, because next week we are going to be covering both WWE Crush Hour, the video game, as well as WrestleMania 19. And my guests will be One Winged Angel, Prince Moxley Lopez, and Ambrose Alley. All three of them are going to be guest starring on the episode, so it's going to be one wild ride, but it's going to be so much fun. I can assure you of that.
Great.
Hey, that's a hell of a panel.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, does anybody else have anything else to say before we get out of here?
Just a reminder, tomorrow morning with the Shooting the Breeze podcast, it is a open invitation, ladies and gentlemen. Open invitation. If you have never come on a podcast before in your life, now's your chance. However, you have to be a minimum of 18 years of age. Tomorrow morning, my co-host, MDS, will be putting out a open invitation to anyone who wishes to attend. Just remember, 18 years of age, and we will treat you nicely unless you are an idiot. Matt, you know what being an idiot is all about.
Yeah, so you're saying you'll treat them nice. You treat them nice unless they're Becky Lynchmark, right?
Yeah, Mister. Just book Becky better.
And they have been. Like, finally, it took them forever.
But the thing about it is that you know as well as I do, they did this last year, and what happened?
Well, I want to believe.
But the Harpies, the Iconics. Yes, I say Iconics, just like they say Aaron.
I have nothing to add. So
I am expecting the Iconics to be on one of the awards for Connoisseurs of Wrestling. Is that what I can expect?
For what?
Hall of Fame. Is that what I can expect?
It's going to take a long time, buddy. Because with myself and Legends Lover and Biff Kensington III, we have the next 15 to 20, maybe even 30 years of content already figured out.
I think LL and Biff are going to want them in. I'm sure of it.
Well,
ladies and gentlemen, before we go, Legends Lover had rotator cuff surgery today. She's doing well. She's in the hospital overnight. She should be home tomorrow, and hopefully she'll be on Sunday night with Biff Kensington and myself.
Yep, and we wish Legends Lover the best.
Absolutely.
As we will induct a family into the Connoisseurs of Wrestling Hall of Fame. But I will not say who it is. You will have to tune in to find out, because kayfabe on Connoisseurs of Wrestling is most important.
Keeping the kayfabe, ladies and gentlemen, it's always important.
That's right.
I have nothing left to add, so Mr. Matt, take us out.
All right, so next week, next Friday, WrestleMania 19 and WWE Crush Hour, One Winged Angel, Prince Moxley Lopez, and Ambrose Alley will be joining me for that episode. That's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, I will see you all next time. Thank you very much to Adam Rice and TakersMinion for joining me on this episode. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks for being on. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we will see you all next time. See ya.